The strangers in town kept whispering about the Barrow Creek Ranch, a place so wide and wild that even the wind seemed to lose its way crossing it. But to Emma Hale, a runaway schoolteacher with dusty boots and a heart heavier than her only suitcase, it looked like the last chance she had left in a world that had given her nothing but goodbyes. She approached the ranch gate, trembling, clutching the letter that summoned her there for work, simple work. The ad said something any steady-handed woman could do, though no one in town would tell her. Why, every applicant before her had quit before sundown. And as she stepped inside, the ground rumbled beneath her feet, a slow, powerful tremor that made her heart jolt because she thought it was thunder. But then a calm, deep voice behind her said, "Don't be scared. That's just him waking up." And when she spun around, she saw a tall, broad-shouldered rancher leaning against a fence post, like he had been carved straight out of the land itself. His jaw was rough with stubble, his hat shadowed eyes that had seen more storms than the sky itself. And though his presence was intimidating, something about the quiet steadiness of him made her breath return. He stepped closer, boots sinking into the dirt with a heavy authority, and extended a gloved hand, introducing himself as Rhett Maddox, owner of the ranch and keeper of secrets too big for the average soul to handle. Emma shook his hand, surprised by how warm and grounding his grip was, and Rhett studied her face for a moment, not in a way that evaluated her beauty, but in a way that measured her courage, before asking if she was still sure she wanted the job. Because once she walked past the barn, she'd see things she might not be ready for. She swallowed her fear and nodded, telling him she just needed honest work and a place to belong. And Rhett gave a small approving tilt of his head before saying, "All right then, stay close and don't run, no matter what you feel under you. If it moves, sit still. If it breathes, sit steady. And if it growls, pretend you didn't hear it." The words made her stomach twist, but she followed him anyway as he led her toward the largest barn on the property, a towering weathered structure reinforced with steel beams thicker than tree trunks, its doors rattling every few seconds as if something enormous was brushing against them from the inside. Emma's knees weakened, but Rhett placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder just as another tremor shook the ground, and he leaned down, murmuring, "Too big. Just sit on it if you have to. He listens better when someone's not afraid." She tried to ask what he meant, but before she could, Rhett slid open the colossal barn door, and the world seemed to exhale a deep, hollow breath. Warm air blasted out like someone had opened the furnace of the earth, and Emma froze because there, lying in the shadows, was a shape so massive her mind refused to accept it, something that looked half beast, half legend, coiled like a sleeping mountain, with scales darker than midnight and eyes that slowly lifted open, glowing like embers. The creature, huge, living, ancient, shifted, and the ground trembled again beneath Emma's boots as his long tail slid across the floor, the sound like dragging iron chains. She stumbled back in instinctive terror, but Rhett caught her, steadying her with both hands, whispering urgently that she must not run, not scream, not even blink too fast. "He senses fear like heat," Rhett warned, "but he trusts anyone who stays." Emma's pulse hammered in her throat as the creature lifted its massive head, nostrils flaring, its breath washing over her like hot wind. And Rhett guided her gently forward, toward the beast that was the true heart of Barrow Creek Ranch. And as she stepped closer, trembling but refusing to retreat, the creature lowered itself in what almost looked like a bow. Rhett's voice softened to a proud whisper, "That's my boy, the last Titan stallion alive." Emma's mouth fell open. She had heard stories, old myths of horses the size of barns that once roamed the frontier, beasts so powerful they could outrun storms and carry wagons like feathers, but she never believed they were real. Standing before one now, close enough to touch its warm, earth-scented hide, reality trembled inside her. Rhett guided her hand forward, urging her to rest her palm on the creature's side, and when she hesitated, he murmured gently, "Trust me. He won't hurt you if you stay calm." Emma finally touched the Titan stallion, and the moment her fingers made contact, The massive beast exhaled a deep rumbling breath and nudged her gently, almost affectionately. Rhett chuckled softly, telling her she had a rare gift, courage, where others had only fear. And before she could speak, the stallion suddenly shifted its colossal body, lifting Emma off her feet and onto its back as easily as a wave lifts a leaf. She gasped, clinging to its coarse mane, but Rhett only smiled and said the words she would never forget. Too big. Just sit on it. And right then, high atop something she never imagined could exist, Emma realized she was no longer running from life. She had stumbled straight into the adventure that would change everything. She just didn't know yet that this creature, and the man who controlled it, would soon pull her into dangers far darker than myths, and secrets far older than the ranch itself. But for now, as the stallion rose to its full towering height and the barn groaned under its might, Emma closed her eyes, held her breath, and made a silent promise that if fate had brought her here, she would not waste it. And as Rhett watched her, a flicker of something like hope crossed his rough features, because for the first time in years, someone had come who wasn't afraid of the truth. Emma barely had time to breathe before the Titan stallion shifted again, its massive hooves thudding against the barn floor with a force that echoed through her. Bones and Rhett lifted both hands calmly, signaling the beast to settle, his voice steady as stone as he murmured, "Easy, boy. She's one of us now." The stallion snorted, a hot gust rolling from its nostrils like steam from a locomotive, and Emma clutched its mane tighter, realizing that the creature beneath her wasn't just big, it was beyond anything human hands should have been able to tame, yet somehow Rhett Maddox stood before it like a man greeting an old friend rather than a danger that could crush him without trying. He stepped closer, placing his palm on the stallion's broad chest, and the beast lowered its head in submission, making Emma stare in awe at the strange bond between man and myth. Rhett then reached up to help her down, but the stallion suddenly turned, blocking him with its enormous shoulder, almost protectively keeping Emma on its back. And Rhett paused, eyebrows raising slightly as he muttered, half impressed, half worried, "Well, looks like he's chosen you faster than I expected." Emma's heart fluttered, part fear, part wonder, as the stallion gently pressed its colossal cheek against her leg, and she felt a vibration through her bones, a deep hum like distant thunder. Rhett explained that Titan stallions could sense truth, courage and heartbreak, and they rarely trusted anyone at first sight. "You must have walked in carrying something heavy," he said quietly, studying her expression, "something even he can feel." She looked away, not ready to spill her past, the broken engagement, the town gossip, the betrayal that drove her here, but Rhett didn't push. Instead, he offered his hand again and told her she could come down only if she wanted to, because the Titan had accepted her now, and that meant she had a choice. Emma hesitated, feeling strangely safe atop the giant creature, but she finally slid her hand into Rhett's, letting him help her down, her boots hitting the dirt with a soft thud as the stallion watched closely, lowering its head to sniff her shoulder before giving a small approving huff. Rhett smirked, telling her that the beast didn't let just anyone into his barn, let alone onto his back, and the last person who tried had run screaming before they even touched the door.